What's up, nerds? Let's get going. All right, so this is the rest of the first exercise that we were doing. We did 1, 2, and 3, so I'm going to walk you guys through 4, 5, and 6. I made separate slides for them so that they can show up bigger and clearer on here. All right, so here's the first one. All right, you plural asked. All right, so we got this neck up verb, obviously, of asking. This is kind of nice. You plural asked what plans had been made. All right, so we've got this whole question vibe here. So this is an indirect question. All right, you plural asked. So the first thing I'm noticing when I look at this is that asked is perfect. All right, this is a past tense verb. So if we're in the perfect tense here, that means that we are in the secondary sequence of tenses. For any kind of indirect discourse, any kind of purpose clause, perfect tense is past, so we are in the secondary sequence. All right, what is an interrogative word? What? So the direct question would be, what plans had been made? That's direct, but now it's indirect by adding this main clause. You asked what plans had been made. All right, so perfect tense, had been made. This is pluperfect, had been made. All right, and the subject noun of it is plans. So that's plural. So this verb right here is going to be third person plural, pluperfect, had been made. It's happening to them, so it's passive. And this one here, because it's in an indirect question, it has to be subjunctive. So this is the whole parsing of that verb. You asked what plans had been made. All right, so you asked is just going to be rogawisti. That's not right because it's you plural. So it's got to be rogawistis. All right, and that's done. Same thing for oro. It would look almost the exact same. Orawistis. All right, that's the main clause. You're done. What separates the main clause from the indirect question is this interrogative word. It'll be what, why, where, how much, how many, whatever kind of interrogative word ever. What is your interrogative word here? I know that that orb is right there in the center. Sorry about that. Can I fix that without it being too rough? Nope. We're going back. We're scooching on back. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Love it. I got music playing. Here we go. All right. So, what plans? This is plural. All right. And if this is referring to plans, that means this also has to be plural. All right. So these are plural. Oops. Beep beep. All right. These are plural. So that means that whatever the gender has to be, it has to match what as well. Plan is neuter, so it's neuter plural, and it's the subject noun. What plans had been made? So this needs to be neuter plural nominative. All right, and the neuter plural nominative interrogative pronoun is going to be qui. All right, that's the plural all the way across. Qui, quai, quorum, 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 quibus, 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 quos, quas, quae, quibus, quibus, quibus. So the neuter nominative plural is what we need, which is qui. So qui is your answer. Plans just needs to be plural. Concilium is neuter singular. Neuter plural is always going to be for the nominative. All right. Now, had been made. Pluperfect passive subjunctive. The verb for make is facere, and its fourth principal part is factum. So we know that some version of that is going to be used, factum. And then, since it's pluperfect subjunctive, we know that what's going to need to be used is essa plus an ending. All right? Now, we know that the subject noun is neuter plural. The neuter plural ending on your fourth principal part needs to now be a. And since it's plans plural, they had been made. So the ending on the verb needs to be nt. All right? So that's your sentence. Rogawistis or orawistis, quae concilia facta essent. That's your answer for this sentence. All right, cool. Okay, so next one, kind of similar. All right, you knew that these plans had been made. So this is not a question anymore. This isn't an indirect question. You knew that these plans had been made. All right, so this is not an indirect question. This is a statement. All right, the direct statement would be, these plans had been made. That's just a statement. And now this is someone neck-upping that they knew it. So You plural knew that these plans had been made. All right, so same thing here, sequence of tenses. All right, you knew, that's in the perfect tense. All right, so ski wistis, because it's perfect and it's second person plural, ski wistis, and there's no word for this that in Latin. We use that in English, very free flowing. There's no word for this that in Latin, so it's just the understood. You knew that these plans had been made. Same thing, plans is neuter nominative plural, so that means that the demonstrative pronoun going with it needs to be neuter nominative plural, which is just illa. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's those plans. That would be hike, or he, hi, hike, yep. He, hi, hike, horum, harum, horum, he's, hos, has, hike, he's. All right, so hike is the neuter nominative plural. These plans, same thing as it was before, concilia, had been made. All right, now here's the thing. All right, these are nice because they're neuter plural. Neuter plural is always the same in the nominative and the accusative. These are now going to be accusative because this is an indirect statement. You plural knew that these plans, accusative subject noun, had been made. Okay, so you guys might be like, whoa, monsieur, you never taught us the pluperfect infinitive. No, I didn't, but I taught you the perfect infinitive, and I taught you the perfect passive infinitive. So which one is this? Is it the perfect infinitive, or is it the perfect passive infinitive? All right, we got a perfect-esque trigger word, a pluperfect trigger word here, and then we've got been. So this is in the perfect passive realm. All right, so you form the perfect passive infinitive by doing, the fourth principal part of the verb, and then the version of sum that you need is the infinitive version, esse. But remember, if you're ever using the fourth principal part of a verb, it's got to match the subject noun. All right? So the ending here is going to be a, facta. Facta esse. All right? So that's your translation for this one. You knew that these plans, accusative subject noun, had been made. Perfect passive infinitive. All right? You're using the infinitive there, but the sequence of tenses is telling you that it has to follow the past tense. You can't have a present infinitive in the past tense, all right? So there we go. Next sentence is, they asked me to have all things in mind, all right? So what kind of sense is this indirect question, or not question, indirect discourse taking? They asked me to. That should have a sense of like, you're being told to do something. You're being asked to do something. They asked me to have all things in mind. This is an indirect command. All right, so this one's kind of nice because you can find the two different clauses and separate them with the same conjunction you've been using in purpose clauses and indirect commands, which is ut. They asked me. That's done. So that I might have all things in mind. That's really what it's saying. All right, they asked is what tense? That's perfect tense. So that means that this is a secondary sequence of tenses. They asked me to have all things in mind. We know that the conjunction combining them is ut, all right? And we know that since this is in the secondary sequence of tenses, try and think about it before I say it. What is the tense and mood of all verbs in the secondary sequence of tenses in indirect commands? It's the imperfect subjunctive. All right, so they asked, same word that we've been using, rogawi, in the passive, but it's they asked. So it needs to be third person plural, e isti it, imus istis erunt, rogawi runt. All right, they asked me, direct object is literally just where we get the word me from, so they asked me to have all things in mind. And remember, in indirect commands, the subject noun is hidden in English from the first clause, so you got to drag that over to have it in the verb. So that I might have all things. So what's the verb for have? It's habeo, I have. But you need to have it in the imperfect subjunctive, which means you need to have it in its imperfect or its infinitive form, which is habera, and it's I might have. So you guys remember that the first person singular in the passive or in the subjunctive doesn't go ost, it goes mst. So haberim is your answer. All right? All things in mind, all things is your direct object. So all things need to be omnes, or I guess in the neuter, because it's all things. Wait, you could do this two different ways. You could do omnia and leave it, because it's a substantive adjective, just all, neuter, all things. Or you could do this, omnes in the feminine, and then have res here as well, all things. Both of those would be fine. In mind is just in animo. All right? They asked rogawerunt, me, secondary sequence of tenses, haberunt, so that I might have. So that I might have all things in mind. All right? All right. So the next sentence is this. Oh, no. So I'm pulling from these ones now. That's the last of those. That was the third and last of that exercise. So now I'm just going to do the same thing that I did with the ones before. And I'm just going to have them in their own separate slides. Have these right here in their own separate slides for us to do together. Okay, there's just 4 of them. All right, so here we go. Here's the first one. The direct command is nolita, ta multos kibos cometera. All right, so noli or nolita plus an infinitive is a negative command. So do not eat. Do not eat. And then tam means so. Do not eat so much food. Stop eating so much food, or do not eat so much food. That's a direct command. All right? But now I'm asking you to add this to the beginning of it. Oro wos. Wos is just the plural of te. So it's y'all. I ask y'all. I am asking y'all. All right? So that's oro wos. I am asking y'all. All right? To not eat so much food, or to stop eating so much food. All right? What kind of statement is that? It's an indirect command. It's indirect command. I ask you to stop doing this. It's like a sort of halfway command. That's why it's an indirect command. All right? So that means that we are going to have ut, dividing the first clause from the second clause. All right? The only thing that's going to change here is the verb. So we can even go ahead and put tam multos kibos in there. The only thing that's going to change is the verb. Cometera is third conjugation. All right, that's important because our verb here, oro, is present. And if you have a present tense verb in the main clause, that means that you are going to have a primary sequence of tenses. And remember, primary sequence of tenses, sorry, I thought it was cut off. Primary sequence of tenses for indirect commands always do the same thing. They need the present subjunctive. So if this is third conjugation, that means we need to do she steals a. The stem vowel needs to be an A instead of an E. So it's comeda. And it's you plural. I ask you plural so that you plural will stop eating so much food. All right? Oh, and I'm realizing right now it's a negative command, so it's not ut. It's nay. All right? So that not. My mistake. All right? And then this should just be tis. Comedatis. All right, so this is your sentence for that one. I ask you all so that not so much food you eat. All right? Next sentence is this one. All right, so what kind of command is this next sentence? If you've got nolita and an infinitive, all right, and you guys might be like, where's the infinitive? Where is it? So which word in this sentence is the infinitive? It's this word. How is that possible? How is it possible for kapi to be an infinitive? And the answer is because the present active infinitive is kapara. Kapara, that's third conjugation. That means that this is its passive infinitive form, kapi. So instead of to capture, or to seize, now it's to be captured, to be seized. So this is a command not to have something happen to you. All right, it's a passive infinitive. All right, passive imperative. Do not be seized by vehement anger. Do not be seized by vehement anger. That's how that translates. All right, and now I'm asking you to put it in with orawi wos. All right, so same thing. Wos is just the plural of te. So I asked y'all. All right, I asked y'all to not be seized with vehement anger. So, this is a negative imperative, so that means that it's something that they do not want them to do. So this is going to need nay instead of ut. If it were ut, then it would be I asked you to be seized with vehement anger. And that's not what he's saying. He's saying I asked you not to be. Nolita copy. All right, so nay is used here. All right, ero ad menti is not going to change. All right, but the verb is. All right, so if you've got a verb that's passive, all right, here in this sentence, that means it's got to stay passive in the subjunctive. I asked. So that's past tense. So what sequence of tenses are we in? We're in the secondary sequence of tenses. If you're in the secondary sequence of tenses in an indirect command, you can only use the imperfect subjunctive. So what's the normal infinitive of copy? We just had it up on the board a second ago. It's copera. And the only thing that needs to be done to this is it needs to be passive with the correct ending. All right, so the normal active ending would be tis. But this is not active, this is passive, so it needs to be many. All right, and that's your sentence. I asked y'all not with vehement anger to be captured. Do not be seized by vehement anger. All right? So here we go. Next one. Take a break anytime you need. Go jog a lap around your house or something like that. Go pet your dog. Tell them all your problems. It works. All right, so here we go. This is not a negative imperative. All right? Kogita is a positive thing. All right? Kogita means to think. So think about jokes. Think about jokes. Direct command. All right? Sorry, I know that you guys probably can't see that super well, but y'all have got it on your PowerPoint. All right? Think about jokes. All right? Now we're introducing it with oro te. So I ask you, all right? I ask you to think about jokes is really what's saying. All right? So that's a positive thing, so that means that we need to use ut here instead of nay. It's not asking them not to do something, it's asking them to do something. So this is ut. All right? About jokes is not going to change. De yokis. All right? But the verb has to change. Kogita. This is present tense, so that means that we are in the primary sequence of tenses. Primary sequence of tenses for indirect command is always present subjunctive. So if the verb is kogitara, present subjunctive uses she steals a liar's diary, but kogitara is what conjugation? It's first conjugation. So it's she steals. So the stem vowel needs to be an E instead of an A. All right? And it's I ask you singular. So it would just be kogites. And that's your answer. I ask you so that you will think, you may think about jokes. All right? All right, I know that's hard to see with that orb, man. There's nothing I can do about it. But here we go. This is your last one. All right? Plaque omnibus is a command. It's a positive command because there's no nolita. All right? Plaque means be pleasing. All right? Placera means to be pleasing, so this is just a command. Be pleasing, and then omnibus is in the dative. Omnibus. Be pleasing to everyone is really what that's saying. All right? Orawi te is how we're introducing this. Orawi is in the perfect. So that means that we are in the secondary sequence of tenses, and I'm asking them to do something, so we're going to use ut. I asked you. I asked you so that you might. All right, so what's the sequence of tenses call for in the second clause? Calls for the imperfect subjunctive. So whatever the infinitive of plaque is, which is placera, that's going to be the stem. And it's you singular. So I asked you so that you might be pleasing to everyone. All right, dative omnibus. All right, so here we go. Really quick before we end the video, let me walk y'all through the synopsis that I had for you, okay? So you guys are doing, for this synopsis, you're doing mitera, in a, oh, this is going to be so hard to see. I'll just zoom in more. All right. you're going to do a first person plural neuter synopsis for mito, mitera, missi, missum. All right? So if the principal parts are what I just said, mitera means that it's third conjugation, right? First plural neuter, that's important. All right, the conjugation's third, so the future type is am, es, et. The present stem, because it's third, is kind of wily. It's going to be mita naturally, but you know that the e changes. It can change to an I or a U sometimes, depending on the scenario. All right, so the perfect active stem is pretty easy to find. You get it from the third principal part. You just knock off the I with the macron. So it's literally just MIS. And then the perfect passive participle, the PPP, is the fourth principal part. All right? It's given to you in the neuter, but I asked for it in the neuter plural. So the neuter plural ending needs to be ah. Oops. Ah. All right, so let's do our indicatives, which is everything from last year. All right? Present active indicative is going to be getting its stem from this. All right, but as you can see here, we're not going to use an E. It's third conjugation, so in the present it changes to an I. It's going to be mitimus. And then in the passive, it's just going to be mitimer. All right, by the way, don't watch this until you've done it. Give it a shot. Make sure that you have put in the effort to try, and then come and check yourself with this video. The imperfect, this is when it goes back to having an E. All right, mitebamus. All right, same here in the passive, it just has that passive ending, mitebamer. The future, since it's third conjugation, has the am, es, et type, so the plural first person is mitemus. All right, and then the ending will just change to passive over here, mitemer. All right, so we're done with the present system, both in the active and the passive, but now we're in the perfect active system. Perfect active uses only the third principal part, by which you already got your stem. All right, so miss is your stem for all three of these. All right, first person plural for the perfect, e, isti, it, imus, missimus. All right, pluperfect, eramarosarat, eramus is its ending. All right, and then future perfect, ero, erisarit, erimus is its ending. All right, perfect passive participle is going to be used every time you're in the perfect passive. All right, so you already found it. Perfect passive is always going to have missa in it for the synopsis. All right, now all that matters is that you get the correct version of sum. The perfect passive uses the present tense of sum. We just need the first person plural of that, which is sumus. Same thing for down here, it just uses the imperfect, so eramus, and here it's erimus for the future perfect. All right, so that's our indicatives. Those are all done. All done. All right. Sorry, I'm not going to edit this out. You're just going to see me wiping the board. Take a deep breath. That was a good one. All right, so here we go. Now we've got our imperatives, which is going to be mita in the singular, but since it's third conjugation, when you add the plural te to it, it changes to an I. All right, now we're in our participles. You don't need to worry too much about these. Mittens, haha, mittens. Perfect passive participle you do need to know. You already found it, it's missa. And then all you do to this one is add ur before the ending, misura, and then don't worry about that. All right? Then we've got our infinitives, which you do need to know. Present active infinitive is just your second principal part. It's third conjugation, so it needs to be miti in the passive. Then your perfect active infinitive is the stem that you found for the perfect active, miss, plus issa, mississa. Perfect passive, anything in the perfect passive needs to have missa on it. Only thing that it needs to have is a version of sum. And since this is an infinitive, you just use the infinitive of sum. All right, and then you grab this guy, and you put him right here, and you make him an infinitive by putting the essa next to it as well. And that's it. All right, so those are not actual verb forms. These are participles and infinitives. All right, I know that you haven't learned how to do all the participles yet, but getting exposed to their forms and getting kind of comfortable just putting them in a general form like I'm doing is very important. All right, so here we go. subjunctives, most recent stuff. All right? Present active subjunctive for mito in the first person plural. If the infinitive is mitera, that means that it's third conjugation. Present subjunctive deals with she steals a diary. She steals a, so it's mitamus, first person plural. Same thing over here, you just use the passive ending. Mitamer. All right? And then over here, you've got the imperfect active subjunctive, which uses the whole infinitive. Mitera, you just add mus to it. And then over here, you do the same thing, you just add mer to it. All right, perfect active subjunctive, you get the perfect active stem. Same for the pluperfect active subjunctive, you get the perfect active stem. You just add the indicator. The perfect active subjunctive indicator is era. The pluperfect active subjunctive indicator is issa. And then you put the same ending onto them. Mus. All right? But anything that's in the perfect passive system, you got to use that perfect passive participle again, which is missa. The only thing that matters here is the version of sum that you use with it. Since this is first person plural, you've got to use the subjunctive of sum, first person plural, which is just simus. And then you've got to use the imperfect subjunctive form of sum here, which is the infinitive of sum, essa, plus the ending, mus. All right, so that's your synopsis. I hope that that's helpful. If you want to practice another one, I can give you guys the sheet. Just send me an email, and I can send that sheet to you. You can print it off at home. Do as many as you'd like, and send it to me, and I will send it to me, and I will correct it or give you notes on it. All right? Love you guys. Bye.